welcome back. This is Marketing with DysChick. I'm your host, Deanna Andrews, and today I'm joined by Mikelah Rose. Just for some background, we've both spent over a decade in various marketing roles at large corporations, small corporations, helping entrepreneurs and bringing our just overall marketing expertise to the masses. So I'm excited that we are back for another episode of this. Welcome, Mikelah. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, Deanna. Thank you so much for having me back because, I love talking marketing with you. It's always fun.
Oh, talking marketing is fun. We sound like nerds. Okay.
We are nerds.
We are.
I mean, we might be cute, but we nerding out.
Hey, the two are not mutually exclusive. I'm a cute nerd. I'm okay with it.
Okay. I mean, I read a book. I take my book.
Exactly, exactly. But today, what we want to get into is, of course, throughout this podcast, we're going to be talking about different areas of marketing. Today, when we are recording this, it is just after the Super Bowl in New Orleans with the dramatic, historic Kendrick Lamar halftime show. And so we want to get into talking about just influencer marketing, as well as just like how marketing works on such a large platform. That's a huge
Mhm.
stage. So
Yeah.
let's get into it. I know you have some experience with influencer marketing. So if you can give us an overview of just what influencer marketing is.
Yeah, I think influencer marketing is really become the hot new topic over the last few years, but it's really been done in this space for a really long time. I think with social media in particular, not just the internet, it has allowed for people to create personalities and connecting with one another in close proximity and from and far away. So if you think about what today's status of influencer marketing is, it's really a person selling a brand or service that they have an affinity for and making money from it. It's mutually beneficial to the brand as well as the influencer or the creator creating it. But it's not new. I think if we look at the entertainment space, spokespeople have been around for a very long time. And I think celebrities have always been influencers, if you will. We've seen, partnerships between brands and celebrities do really, really well, especially in the 80s going into the 90s. And I think that social media allowed, the everyday person to have access and to kind of share what they were already consuming. And so that really blew up. To me, I think the most significant point of influencers for me was hair care influencers that really took to natural hair care in the early 2000s, because at the time most Black women were either trying to go natural, but there weren't a lot of products to support. So it was almost creating this community of how can we use this gel or this conditioner concoction to or make my own and go through this transition. And that really, really, for me, I think is what created that influencer space, because an entire industry really spawned from that movement in particular. And a lot of the best practices that we see today come from that era, whether people would like to recognize it officially or not. I remember there being only Miss Jessie's curly hair products. And they were the only ones really talking about curly hair at the time. And now you look and there are a plethora of personal beauty brands dedicated to curly hair across the entire beauty space. And so I think bringing it back to kind of what it is today, I think influencers and creators are not just celebrities, and there are just so many. The more you go down a hole, the more you see how many people have influence in within their community and space. So you don't need to have a massive following. I liken it really now to word of mouth. Before, you used to tell your girlfriend or your friend, you would recommend something, and now you're not just recommending it to your friends in your friend circle, you're recommending it to people online and what they can expect, giving reviews. I refrain from using honest because it's been, I think, skewed sometimes over the years, but essentially you're recommending, putting your recommendation behind a product that you think that people should be using. And then I think over the last few years, we've seen this heavy increase in consumption. So now we start seeing people de influencing things. So, in terms of not using as many things I wouldn't use or I would never use, or that sort of kind of self deprecating. And it's coming from influencers, but I think there is this mass conception that, influencers just post what they like. And so this is also posting what they don't like and sharing that, and kind of the consumption bit has been in overdrive. And so I think that that's also playing in that space too. But it's not just products anymore, it's services as well. We are in a space where, LinkedIn is becoming very heavy with influencers, which is something we probably didn't see. So I think businesses and entrepreneurs who are also sharing their journeys online have the opportunity to talk about services that they use, and share it with people as well. People want to know, well, what invoicing services do you use, and what how do you get your graphics, and what do you use for editing? And that's also become a space of influence as well, because essentially you're using these tools so you can, make money from an affiliate and promote them anyway as well. So I think the next phase, I think, will happen is really employee influence.
Mm.
I think employee generated content is going to be a new term going into. I've heard pockets of it in 2024, but I think it's going to amplify because people want to see behind the scenes. And who better than your employees to kind of promote your business and your brand online within particular guidelines? Because I also think that they have a perspective that a consumer or a creator who doesn't have the same connection to the brand internally as employees do. I also think that employees kind of tell a different story, and not from a leadership perspective. So it's not the directors or the CMOs; they already have brands themselves. It's really going to be the entry level, the mid tier managers. If you look at, like, I think Starbucks will probably really start using their baristas as influencers. We saw what the Chick-fil-A employee did with when she was on her break and she was sharing all the different meals, and she ended up getting she had to stop creating content because of it. And so I think with her story, it really kind of perked up the ears of a lot of people internally. Like, she was driving so much attention to Chick-fil-A at the time, like, why would they stop, and where
Mhm.
do we have the opportunity? So that was a big story in 2024.
Yeah.
So it really just runs the gamut. I think anyone can be an influencer, anyone can kind of get into the game, if you will. It's a leveled playing field, and there is definitely a lot of room to grow. And there's a lot of money to be made. So I think a lot
Mhm.
of people are really entering this space, even if you work full time or you do something else. It's supplemental income for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Um, and
That's
so
great.
there's also the opportunity to be more creative as well. So um, I'm excited for what influence. I really I enjoy working with influencers, but it definitely is a long game. It's not just, the quick, it does give you quick wins, but it also, playing it over and over again, is where you kind of start to see the brands grow themselves.
Yeah. I also think it's important to think about just what the term influencer actually means. Like to be an influencer, you kind of have to create your own lane, like you said, but you're building trust with the potential audience, right? Like you are recommending brands, you're doing product reviews, you're doing service reviews. You're kind of showing that, like, you understand their pain points and you have similar issues or concerns. And so, based on your expertise or experience or just your opinion, you are now saying, okay, I can give you my review of this thing, or I can give you my advice on this thing. And so it kind of creates this like community of trust. So when
Mhm.
a brand now enters that space and says, we want to leverage an influencer, well, that influencer already comes with a community that believes them, trusts them, looks to them for advice on things. And so that's really great for the brand because you have a trusted source. The
Mhm.
issue then becomes, if an influencer gets a lot of brand deals, can they still be trusted?
Yeah, I think it's the transparency. I think each person's community is owed that. I also do think that brand alignment is important. So I'll go back to the example of, like, hair care. I don't want I'm sure consumers want to see, they want to see you get your money. They want, you deserve that. However, they need it to be genuine.
Mhm.
And so it's hard to say that a person has an affinity for a particular product when they are later then promoting a similar product in the same category. So
Yes.
while you don't, so you can't be promoting two hair care brands that you absolutely love and fell in love with in the last 6 months. And then in the next 2 months, you're promoting something else. Now, if your content has been about trial, right? If all of your content is trial content, then that's completely different. But if you have been a particularly advocate for one particular product and then all of a sudden you completely switch, your audience is really going to notice that.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think transparency between the creator and the influencer and their audience is really important. Why did you choose this new product? What was this other one doing that wasn't, that didn't what didn't this other one satisfy that this new thing is then satisfying? And also being transparent about being paid.
Hmm.
So you're gonna have there definitely um Federal Trade Commission has rules and regulations for disclosure. And so when influencers do work, even if it's gifted, and I think that that's also a misconception, even if it's gifted, if you got a free ticket to go to Beyonce concert on behalf of a Coca-Cola brand. I'm just giving
One
an
can only
example,
hope.
or Pepsi. I know, but these are things like that. That's technically an ad because you wouldn't be at the
Hmm.
concert if it wasn't for them. So I think disclosure is really important because not only that, it creates the authenticity with your audience because many of them might not be able to afford a Beyonce ticket. So if they're thinking that this is something that you're going and you're doing and not knowing that you got the ticket for free, well, they're like, oh, I need to, the influence right there is like, oh, well, I should be going, I'm just like her, so I should be going to Beyonce too, so I should be spending my money this way. And I'm not saying that that is the case, or it's kind of like an exaggerated case, but that is essentially why disclosure and transparency is important, because it allows the consumers, your community, to understand why you're doing what you're doing and to take them along for the journey. And so I do think that if they are getting brand deals and they are really transparent about it, it's being mindful of the verticals that they're taking campaigns in, making sure they're aligned but not too similar. And I had to work with that in my job. So I worked for a
And you
personal
were on the
care
brand
brand.
side, right?
Yeah, so on the personal care side, you want to make sure that the influencers that you're working with and selecting, they haven't worked with another brand in the same category for at least 6 to 12 months at minimum.
Mhm.
And sometimes, so I go back into a creator's profile for that long to ensure that, so for every creator that we think is a right fit, I have to go through their content, what are their followers saying about the content, the paid content that they're doing. I'm looking for real engagement versus bot engagement. I'm looking for a genuine connection between this person's audience and this particular product compared to their other content. So traditionally, partnership content sometimes can perform not as well as the organic content, but you want it to have a similar feel to what is already in their feed as much as possible, right? And so we have to kind of keep those things in mind when selecting influencers. And so I think on the brand side, we're very cognizant of the types of creators. And now it's not just about going with the creator that has the most followers or the highest engagement. It's really about how engaging they are with their community, how will they respond to product commentary, and overall do they align with like the brand values, if you will. And the other piece to that is then taking, it's not, it doesn't just live in the creator's timeline, it also, we use it for paid advertising. So if we have 6 to 12 months right usage rights, while an influencer could post it on January 25th, I can use it for the next 6 months in paid. I can cut it, I can edit it, I can put it together with something else, I can use it in a paid ad to drive sales or awareness or engagement. So the influencer posting in their feed is one thing, and then us posting in our feed, and then us posting and creating an advertisement is another piece to the entire picture.
Wow. That's wow. So on your side, you have to really choose the right influencers and they have to align to the brand. Now, let's say I'm an influencer
Mm-hmm.
or I'm a content creator trying to be an influencer. What makes me attractive to your brand? Is it just, you talked about engagement, but how do I really rev up what you're looking for? How do I make sure that my content or my engagement with my audience really will appeal to a brand so that when I pitch myself to you, there's
Mm-hmm.
more likely a deal going to be struck. It's not going to be, as much of a hurdle because I can already bring you all of my content, all of my followers, and all those metrics and say, I'm a good fit for your brand.
You are not your follower, and that really is dependent upon whoever is managing the campaign. So
Mhm.
my selection style isn't the same as someone else's, but in my opinion, you are not your followers, you are a representation of your community, but you are not held to the fire of what your followers are going to do. So for me, it's the ability to deliver on the specific objective. So if I'm looking for video creation, I'm going to make sure that you present well on camera. You know what you're talking about. You know how to edit the video. What is your video editing style? Is it similar to what we want to convey? Can I go back to the brand and show them specific examples of how our products can be infused with your content that you've already done? And sometimes if you've already talked about the brand, that's also like you can mention why you love a particular brand or service before you even work with them. And sometimes that will allow for you to kind of be in the space before you pitch. And there's a lot of ways to kind of go about it, but I think pitching a brand is definitely great because you can show them, but also pitching them with the idea that they may say no. I've had to say no to a lot more. If I only have a roster of 10 influencers, I only have the budget for 10 influencers, maybe 12 depending on how much each one charges me. I have a range. So I definitely have a specific budget. And don't take it personal if you're outside of their budget. I don't take it personal if, someone I really really like can't get down to the budget that I would like them to. But you'll also be super surprised. I've had a creator who I really really wanted, and we couldn't match her price point. I was prepared to walk away, and she was just like, no, I really want to work with your brand, so what's your number? And we set our number and we changed our deliverables, and she ended up performing really, really well for the brand. And so sometimes you can just put it out there and see what really happens. But I think for me, it really depends on what I need for this particular campaign. And then can I use this person in another campaign as well? So could I use them for this one, see how they do in this one, and then I have another one in mind maybe coming right after. And so being able to go back to influencers who already know your brand and are willing to kind of talk about it on repeat is a great thing because they already have an affinity for your brand. But there's also creative wear out, and the creator might get tired of talking about my
Mhm.
product, and they might not be able to be as creative around a particular, like if they've already given me 3 to 5 pieces of content, I don't think that they're going to give me more. Maybe not. If I see, but I can definitely see, like when I do, sometimes I'll do one-off campaigns, and then I'll do like repeat campaigns. For a lot of people, by the time they get to the second post, they're like creatively not in the same space they were to create the first and second. And so the third one really needs help.
Mhm.
So that also comes with experience in terms of what you're looking for. So it really depends on what type of content you're looking for, what the influencer connection is to your brand, and how you're going to support it. So if you only want it to live organically, then there's a different strategy. But if you want to use it for paid and organic, then it has to have some other requirements that we talk about in the industry. So I think understanding what do you need? What is the objective? And I think that's the hardest part because most everybody, I want to sell, I want everything, I want this, I want that, I want it to be the best. They wanted to do multiple things, and the best content has like a singular call to action. It's easy to understand. You're not going to the link in bio, clicking here, doing this, comment below. Like it's just too much.
Mhm.
You need to kind of like ensure that you simplify what the objective is. And I'm not saying that a piece of content can't do multiple things, but a lot of times when the objective is, it has multiple layers, the creativity gets lost and then the content falls flat.
I think that's such an important part. I mean, that's marketing in general, right? You want to be clear in your message,
Mm-hmm.
understand your audience, and have a simple call to action so that
Yeah.
you can actually see those metrics and see that this performs successfully. One of the things you mentioned, and I think that's important for influencers to know, is that even if I'm pitching to a brand, that person that I'm speaking to still has to package me to someone else and say this person is a good fit for what we're trying to achieve here. So not taking it personally, like let's say I spoke to you, Mikelah, and we have a great rapport and it sounds great, and then you come back to me and say, "Look, I couldn't make it happen." It's not personal. It's, hey, I tried to package you to the larger group. Maybe it's your number, maybe it's, this isn't the right fit or what we're looking for, but it's not personal. This is a bigger conversation. It has to do with the whole organization and
Yeah.
it has to do with what we're really trying to achieve. And we don't necessarily think you're the right fit for that. I think couching it that way is so great for influencers to know, like, look, this is not personal. At the end of the day, this is a brand deal. This is a business deal. And we have to make sure we're doing what's right for our brand as well.
Yeah, and a lot of times and it's hard for us to deliver that message too. It depends on how we deliver it. So if we have a personal connection, or if I've had a rapport with someone who I really think is good for the brand, and we've been talking for like 3 or 4 months, which I actually had happen. I had this WNBA player who I had been courting, and they reached out, and I couldn't get her aligned with the brand in terms of the direction that they wanted to go in. And so sometimes it just doesn't work out, and that's hard because it's a hard pill for us to swallow too, because we believe in something else as well. So don't always kill the messenger, but it is part of the job. Like I think it's a, I don't like the notion that, it's just business. It's not business. You're doing business with people,
Hmm.
right? And so the people are the ones who are shaking the hands, signing the contracts, doing the deals. So yes, it is for a business, but you're working directly with people. And I definitely try to keep that in mind when engaging with and letting people down and letting them know, like, look, I can't get to your number.
Mhm.
And this is what I have. And when we have a campaign that fits your number, then that's fine. I'm not asking you to go down on your rate. I'm just letting you know that I can't afford you.
Mhm.
And you have to make the decision to either take your rate down, take your deliverables down. All of that really does come into play. So there is a personal angle when doing business, and I think I truly understand that part. And so being able to understand that if it's not this deal or this brand, it's going to be somebody else. You're going to hit somewhere where you land, and it might not be the brand that you think. And you could circle back with the brand in a year or two. And I have done, work with influencers who came back and said, hey, are you looking for an influencer? Like, you wouldn't believe how many influencers I had to like look at for one campaign. I could look at anywhere between 200 to 300 influencers, and
Whoa.
that's looking at their data, their content. And this is just for one campaign, and you can have anywhere from like 2 to 3 running in a quarter.
Wow. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of a deep dive. Is there something that sticks out to you? Like, let's say you've done, from your own experience, you've done a campaign, you thought this would hit, you thought this influencer was great for it, and it just didn't work out when you actually launched the campaign.
Yeah, yeah. There's been a few
That's a
times.
tough pill.
It's not a tough pill because it comes with the business, right? In the sense that everything isn't going to perform to spec, right? We were working with two cohorts of influencers in my last role, and we wanted to kind of see the professional angle and like the mom angle. So we had doctors and OBGYNs do content, and we had moms do content around this particular product. And we thought, that the content that the professionals came up was really good. It's just a different angle, same campaign, but just different perspectives in terms of the content deliverable. And if you've seen TikTok, like all of the professional doctors, nurses, oh dermatologists, like all of that content does really well from an educational standpoint. Most of the professional content did not do well at all. And the mom content really just resonated well, and it hit all the marks of having a really good opening line, being extremely educational. It had a good watch time. It just didn't perform the way we thought it was going to perform, and it changed our perspective in working with professionals. We thought, having professionals um, kind of recommend this product and why, and talk to it in their terminologies and what moms were looking for at the time would do really well, because their content would do really well. And specifically, I'm like, I don't know why this content didn't do well. Their other content is performing so much better than their partner content. So for me, that could also signal, well, maybe we didn't have a whole lot of boosting budget, and I think at that time it had gotten cut. So maybe if we had boosting budget to boost that content a little bit more, it would have performed a lot better. But yeah, you have to and I think you need thick skin, because a lot of it isn't going to perform, and some of it is really, really going to surprise you. And I think that is the beauty of it, is you can work that same process and still get different results,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
the process is consistent in terms of your selection, what you're looking for, having a strict specific objective, knowing what people want to deliver. I've had like people kill it in their own content, and then the minute they got a brand, I'm like, what are you doing? Who are you? I want that person. Why didn't you deliver me that person? Like, we got to reshoot it. And how can I help you get there? Because this ain't it.
You're like, I get it. You want to be professional, but that's not why we have you here.
Yeah, we want that. I'm like, to be honest, I could have paid you for the content that you already created and just give me that,
Mhm.
because trying to recreate magic is really hard. It's
Yeah.
really, really hard.
Yeah, I love that. I think one of the best takeaways for any influencer and even for brand is the alignment has to be there. You have to be able to speak to what the brand wants, but then the influencer has to be authentic, generate trust, and so that campaign can perform better. But
Yeah.
also really be aware of the fact that this is they're if you're an influencer, they're buying you. They're buying the way that you deliver your message, the way that you drive your content, the way that you engage with your audience. So keeping it authentic, keeping it real is really important. And I love that. I love that. That's a great takeaway for any influencer looking to make all this bag of cash that Mikelah is talking about. Um, when you're pitching to brands, keep these things in mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
And your budget is not necessarily their budget. So
Mm.
just go with what you think is best, to be honest.
Yeah, that's great. I love this. Thank you so much, Mikelah, for just dropping some gems, letting people understand this particular part of marketing. There are
Yeah.
so many segments of marketing, but I think influencer marketing gets so misconstrued and it's so nebulous. And even on the brand side, people don't really know what they're looking for. So this
Yeah,
is
and
really
it's a
helpful.
lot of work. It's not easy on both ends, like managing the campaign. The I just told you about the volume of influencers.
Hmm.
Like it takes a while to kind of and sometimes you're a number and sometimes you're a number until you're not a number,
Hmm.
right? So you are your numbers, your engagement, your followers, your content. It's a numbers game. But once you get to once I've narrowed it down to like 20, the numbers then change. It's more about my budget versus what you can deliver. So
Hmm.
the numbers matter, and then once we've signed the contract and you're assigned for that campaign, it's not about the number, it's about the creative.
Hmm.
And so I think that that's important to understand. And I also think that brands can be better about partnering with creators in the right way. So to your point, sometimes brands forget why they hired the
Yeah.
creator and the influencer in the first place. It's like let them be the creator that you hired. That's a it's hard because everyone wants to put a logo here. I need my brand name mentioned in the first 3 seconds, but it doesn't align to the story that they're telling. It's like this really mindful balance between, are they delivering on the brand expectation and objectives, and is the creator being allowed to create in a way that feels authentic to their audience. But there are a lot of negotiations that have to happen. So what happens before the content is even shot is, creators need very definitive campaign objectives in
Mm.
order for them to create a script. They should script their content, send it to the brand, have the brand review it. They could even do like what the visuals are going to look like, how it's going to be like a shot list in terms of how they're going to incorporate the brands to make brands feel better. And now it's become such an industry standard, but also what brands can do and what I started implementing and getting better results is just doing a conference call. You can't if you can't invite every single influencer to your location, or you're not doing a sexy trip off site, and there's no connection there. So getting on a call, getting on a Zoom and really talking through the creative process. What are you thinking? Here's what we like, here's what we don't like. These are the posts that we really resonated with us and we think will resonate with your audience. It gives it that personal touch. And not only that, the personal touch isn't just coming from the hands-on creative process, but now the creator has a face to the brand that they know, and there is a better understanding of what the deliverables need to be, how I need to say something. There's more care on both sides when there's a personal connection. And so when you narrow it down from 300 to about 10, there should be a personal connection to at least 5 or 6 of them,
Mm.
because those are the ones that are really going to be intricate and understanding. And the ones that are more willing to make edits or are open to ideas, those are the people that you really want to work with, because they're willing to work with you, especially for the price point. And even if their content doesn't perform as well, they were really great to work with.
Mm.
And I think that that is also important. So it's on both sides. The
Yeah.
brands have to be very mindful of the creators, and the creators have to be extremely mindful of the brands. And again, they're numbers until they're not. And if you make them not numbers, then they give you the best. You get the best on both sides.
You know what I love also, thinking through what you had said earlier about the employee being an influencer. I'm sure right now we've seen the job market, and Meta just recently announced another round of layoffs. So there's going to be even more people in the job market. But I wonder if that becomes a different niche audience or a different niche section of marketing, because I do think right now we've seen things like Glassdoor or Blind, where people are trying to get insight into how that company works based on how employees are feeling, what they're doing, what their sentiments are. Because in an interview, you can't really get that, right? You can't really understand what it's like to work there. So I think that's an interesting kind of subset of influencer marketing. I wonder if we'll see that a lot more. I hope we actually do, I'll be honest. I know a lot of companies don't like to encourage, people talking about the company at social media, but hey, if this can help you become one of the,
Honestly,
quote
I
unquote
think
best
it's
places to work, then why
yes.
not?
Yes, I think it's the PR a lot of corporate brands need, to be honest. And it's not just at the corporate level. I talked about, Starbucks and a barista, but it could be a local coffee shop. It could be a restaurant with their employees. However, I think it's going to become so popular that employees are then going to like, well, if I'm in the content, shouldn't I be getting paid kind of to be in the content? I think it's a valid point.
Yeah.
There are a lot of incentive programs that they have for like employees. So like they might have like a reward system where if you share the company's latest press release on your LinkedIn page, you get
Mhm.
50 points to get a gift card somewhere.
That's
So
not a
that
bad
in it
idea. Yeah.
so that's also a form of payment, and a corporation, there are corporations that do that, and it really helps the brand be more, it humanizes brands, I
Hmm.
think, a little bit more. And there is a cost limit associated with it. So if you work with influencers outside of the company, the cost can get really, really high. If you work with employees, they kind of are in the content and you kind of just have it. So I think as that becomes more popular, if it becomes part of why you're working with a company, I think that the next level is, well, I should be, if I'm going to be promoting the company online to my community, I think I should get paid. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
I think is going to be the next level conversation. But I don't think we're there yet. I don't think that we're there yet. There are other reasons to want to join, the company's social media. It gives you visibility.
Hmm.
It allows you to do content without actually doing content. It allows you to gain a different skill set that you wouldn't have gotten in doing your normal role. I think the misconception is that everyone in the content, they're social media people, and that might not be the case.
Hmm.
You also might discover a certain talent or thing that you like to do. Maybe you like to script the content, or you have ideas for content that you can share, and you don't have to be in the content, but maybe it's just your hands, or you know how to direct the content. So I think that those are angles of which, employees can approach being in the social content as well. And then for brands, for managers, and PR teams within like bigger corporations, it's a great PR initiative. You get more and impressions probably than a press release, to be honest.
Yeah.
And you, as you see more brands getting more visible on on LinkedIn and even on social, like showing behind the scenes. Like we had our interns do a day in the life of a social media intern at the company, and then the company would share it, and then they could share it on their personal, and then it would be on their LinkedIn page. So it's an example of their work
Hmm.
as well. So those are some of like the employee engagement things. And I think we've heard a lot about this. I think when Zappos was early doing early marketing, they use their customer service team to do all of the marketing. So using employees in your marketing as part of the marketing story of your
Yeah.
brand is actually really good and cost efficient. So I think we'll see a lot more of that, a lot of that.
Well, it's cost
Especially
efficient now.
it's cost efficient now. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't have like a huge budget. But you still, I mean, it's not going to be the only piece of the marketing that you do. There has to be other things, don't get me wrong. You
Hmm.
can't just do social media and that's it. So
Right.
I think that is also important to understand too.
Yeah, but I think what's great about that is you already have people doing it for free. The only problem is most of the people who take to Glassdoor and Blind are already disgruntled. They're already upset. Most of them are not saying this is such a great place to work. So I think having your employees show, I mean, recently I was in a company where I enjoyed working with my team. I enjoyed the work we were doing. I enjoyed our days of service. Like I really, that would be content I'd be interested in putting out for the people who are probably cautious, in management, thinking, oh, now everyone on my team is just going to be concerned with becoming this influencer. You definitely have different personality types. You have different age groups. You have people who are probably not going to want to have anything to do with this at all. Like they are not going to be comfortable doing this. So I don't think that that's necessarily a concern. But for the people who do, what a great way to promote what it's like to work at your company and to
Yeah.
actually encourage people who are in the job market now. You might not be able to compete with the salary of a Meta or a Google, but you have people there just really happy to work there. And work-life
Mm-hmm.
balance is such a huge concern for people, especially as companies and the government are threatening this like return to office
Yeah.
policy, which is impacting people. I think it would be great to just be like, no, this is what it's like to work here. Here's my teammate, and we're doing this.
Yep.
And here's the coffee station. I am
Mm-hmm.
very much influenced by coffee stations. Had some really bad ones and some really great ones. Yes, it is a
Yes.
factor.
It's a
Um,
thing. It's a thing
it's
for
a
sure.
thing. Or if we're over a Starbucks, like that's great too. But yeah, I do think that this would be a really interesting thing to see more of, to see companies embrace it and not be like, don't go on social media talking about the company. When you're trying to get the best employees to come work for you, this might actually be a great tool to leverage.
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. You just have guidelines in place, and I think that's the important thing is a lot of times you don't know what your guidelines really are from a legal perspective and
Mhm.
a brand perspective. And, to an extent, executives who are in the public eye, they're already technically influencers.
Yes.
They spin the company, they talk about the successes, the challenges in public spaces. They talk about, what they do all the time. So they are influencers, even if they don't like the title, but they are a representation, especially if you're like in the C suite or above.
Yeah.
You are a representation of the brand that you work for, whether it's your own or somebody else's. So this just gives visibility to and it can really humanize the brands and to show people behind the scenes.
Yeah. I love that. This is great. I hope that that actually becomes a whole new marketing segment and we're on the front lines and we've discussed it and we are, leading the
Yes.
charge, kind of influencing how this works, if you will.
Influencing how the influences space is working.
I'm saying, I love it. Yes, I really hope that we've shed some light on influencer marketing in general, but then also what it means to be an influencer and the different types of influencers that there are as far as individuals or in large corporations. And I hope that, people take advantage of the opportunity to really we're already doing it, promoting brands, referring people to things. Why not, make it a
Get
space
paid to
that
do
could be
it.
lucrative? Yeah,
Yes.
get that money, honey. Get that money. They got them coins. Get that money. Uh,
Yes.
Great. Any final thoughts that you want to leave our viewers with, as far as what really they should be focused on if they are working at a brand and want to leverage influencers, or their influencers wanting to work with a brand?
I would say start small on both sides. If you're an influencer or you're a brand that wants to get into influencing, start small and try it multiple times. Um, because you're only going to get good at it the more you do it. And a lot of people are afraid of doing something without needing to see the results. You just have to go through the process. What is your process? Why did understanding why this is working, why that didn't work for you, and then you kind of refine it. Influencer marketing, I think, is something that we just have to do and then refine the process on both the brand side as well as the creator side. So really just start there. Start small and then work your way up.
Nice. I love that. Great advice. Great advice
And
to
be
all the
nice to
influencers.
people because you don't know who's
Um,
gonna be who. And yeah, that's a whole other.
yeah, that's just life in general. Be nice to be
Mm-hmm,
kind to people.
mm-hmm.
You never know what they're
Be
going through
kind and
and how they can help you
communicate.
later or hurt
Yes.
you later. So yeah,
Yes, yes, absolutely.
nice.
But thank you, Deanna. This was fun. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, hit me up. I'm always open to
Tell
talk
them how to reach you.
influencer marketing. Yeah, you can reach me at MikelahRose.com, Mikelah K Rose on Instagram. And Deanna, I'll send you all the other information. But yeah, like if you have questions, I'm happy to answer for sure.
Yes, we'll drop all of your handles in the description. Thank you again for joining us. And I'll see you in the next segment because we have other areas of marketing we want to cover. We're going to try to touch as many as possible. We have so much knowledge in these brains of ours, we may as well share it with the masses.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks, guys.